Greetings and welcome, Guardians. For this video, we're going to go over something that has popped up in my mind as of late, and something that I realize we may not have actually faced the full consequences of just yet. And what that is, in particular, is the fact that we may not have faced the full consequences of Eris Morn's wish. This came up to me as there are some lore cards and lore pages that we've been provided by Bungie since they were actually supposed to be dropping in Act 1 and they didn't drop properly. So I got about 2 or 3 pages that I didn't originally have provided to me within Act 2, as well as gaining the ones that are available for Act 2. And what I mean by this is what sparked my curiosity in terms of this topic is the fact that in one of the recent lore cards we get, where we see Drifter in his grieving state, he's going to Eris's apartment and he grabs the Ahamkara bone, and before he grabs it, he sits there and tells it, "You know what I want, so give it to me." He's trying to tell it, let's move this along. You know what my wish is. I'm giving you my wish. Grant it. Make it come true. Obviously, the bone is silent. For those of you to try and catch up a little bit, if you don't really know a lot about Eris Morn's lore or what she's been carrying this whole time in that sphere, that kind of like hive magic sphere, and it looks kind of like a rock, that is an Ahamkara bone that she took as a souvenir back during the Great Ahamkara Hunt, whenever she assisted Shaxx, Ikora, and many other Guardians in hunting down the Ahamkara across the universe. And the reason that it suddenly sparked my interest is Drifter then shakes this bone in its little cage. He shakes it around vigorously and tells it again, "You know what I want. You know what my wish is." And again it falls silent. And the reason is because I remembered that with this bone in particular, is that Eris had this bone before the great disaster of the Pit of Heresy occurred, where Eris and her fire team, with her ghost Brya, and with Ariana, and I believe his name was Vala or Vel or something like that, the Titan, when their fire team went down into the Pit of Heresy to assassinate Crota and take him down, she unfortunately lost all of her fire team as well as Brya, her ghost, who sacrificed herself to save Eris. Then, at that point, when Eris was alone in the Pit of Heresy, stranded, unable to see anything in the darkness of the pit, I believe it kind of leads us to believe that she was within the maze where the ogre is, where you have to kind of weave between the hive tunnels in there. She is hiding in one of those when she finally turns to the Ahamkara bone that she has kept as a souvenir, and she makes the wish to find a way to survive, which then the Ahamkara bone then transforms Eris at that point, taking her eyes away and replacing them with 3 hive eyes. That is how Eris has become the visage that we see today. That is why she looks the way she does, and all because she made the wish on the Ahamkara bone while stranded within the Pit of Heresy. Now, with this, Ahamkara wishes always have a downside. We know this. They're almost like our representation of genies in the Destiny universe. They always take your wish and they twist it and give it a really nasty negative. We've seen it with every Ahamkara that we've come to know. We know that Riven twisted wishes horribly. She twisted Mara's wish of having her own throne world into turning it into a cursed throne world. We learned through the Warlord's Ruin that the Warlord that stayed in that tower, Naeem, kept an Ahamkara and made an agreement with an Ahamkara that she would go into the village and take all of the villagers' wishes and make them come true through the power of the Ahamkara, but the downsides would only fall upon Naeem, the Guardian or Warlord at the time in Destiny's history, before they were known as Lightbearers. So we know that there's always a downside, there's always a negative, so that's why we are always heavily warned with the Ahamkara not to get involved, not to listen to their whispers, and not to make a wish with them. So, the question then becomes, what exactly was Eris's downside? I know that some people may argue that her altered visage and her appearance being disfigured is her downside. She asked to survive, she was disfigured in order to escape the pit of heresy using the hive's vision. But I'm starting to believe that we're not quite hitting the nail on the head. Because Drifter made his own wishes directly to this Ahamkara bone and it's refusing to respond, means that its energy is done. The wish has been cast, and no more wishes can be cast from it. The Ahamkara energy that was within it has been used. So his wishes will not and cannot come true. So then, I believe that we still have yet to see the true consequences of Eris's wish. She is still getting her wish to this day. Her wish was simply to find a way to survive. It provided her the way to survive the Pit of Heresy, and now I believe it is still working its magic with her throne world and the progression of her as a hive moving forward. Although, yes, there was very good explanation, and I even agree with the explanation that when Eris became the Hive God of Vengeance and slashed Savathun to steal all of her power, she did absolutely apply the sword logic to cut a piece of the world for herself. However, there are still other lore cards that we must be careful of. There was a card connected to Elsie Bray a long time ago. Whenever Elsie has been hopping through timelines, she has what she calls dark futures that she's been through, where she's been through timelines where Zavala uses his Thunder Crash ability while he still had his light to essentially not become evil, but essentially end the world as we know it to fight the darkness and eliminate everyone in one go, and Thunder crashes the moon and just completely obliterates the planet, causing a supernova and wiping out the Sol system. There's also another dark future where she constantly has warned Ikora, and it even came up in an additional lore page in the Season of the Witch, where Elsie literally throws Ikora against a wall because of how frustrated she is and yells at Ikora to say, have you not listened to anything I have told you? Because there was a world where Eris uses the power that she gains as the Hive God of Vengeance, and she goes power crazy. She goes absolutely power hungry. She commands all of the hive, the heretical hive on the moon, and leads an army against Earth and against the tower, and the tower collapses and we lose. So there are so many inklings to show that we haven't quite seen the true consequences. Maybe her true consequence is that she can never die, whether Guardian or whether not. That she is going to walk this solar system in this universe eternal for the rest of time. She cannot suffer the fate of death because of her wish, or this slow progression that we're seeing into her becoming a permanent hive god, possibly an enemy, who knows, is her punishment. It's her negative. It's her twist on her wish that she asked for. So let me know what you guys think. Do you side more on the, disfiguring as her negative, or do you seem to maybe agree more with me in terms of what we're seeing so far? Do we think it's going to progress even worse because she has even reached the point that she's not entirely understanding of what's going on? She understands that she created her own throne, but we're not sure why the sword logic has chosen her to continue as this god of vengeance. She's becoming the heretical god of the hive. And then, of course, there is still one extra thing that I feel like I might touch on in another video if you guys want to see it. And it's a follow-up to my video from last week of what did Drifter do? With that, I think I understand what Drifter has done, because in the cutscene and in the kind of rolling dialogue that we had going through the Court of Blades for the first time, Drifter starts reciting hive incantations, but in the middle he says, "Damn it, Toland." So we might have an old friend of Toland who was also with Eris in the Pit of Heresy at that time, and allowed himself to be killed by the Death Song, might be making a return and might be trying to take the Echo of Navigation himself. So, if you guys would like to see that, let me know. I'll kind of do a deep dive on refreshing everyone on Toland, catching everybody up to speed of Toland being in the Pit of Heresy, and then also why I always expected that he may be coming into this act here because he was so obsessed with the sword logic and becoming one with it and being able to understand it. And I will make a whole nother lore theory or lore yapping video on that. I hope you guys enjoyed the background gameplay. We just put in some Master Spire gameplay that we did not too long ago because we were trying to get Victoria the Catalyst on stream. She could finally use Hierarchy to its full potential from that raid, and also getting prepared for Rite of the Nine coming in Act 3, where we're going to have the contest mode of Spire of the Watcher. That'll be crazy. So, again, hope you guys enjoyed. I'd love to see your guys' conversation in the comments, maybe some extra pieces that I maybe left out, or things you guys could connect to help bolster the theory. And of course, if you guys want to see us do, fun and goofy stuff on Twitch, recently while we were doing Vesper's Host, Pineapple softlocked the entire dungeon somehow. Never knew that that was a thing, but now we do. And so if you guys like to see kind of goofy stuff like that, of course, we've been playing things like Repo and a couple other things on stream as well. Go ahead and follow us on Twitch. It's just CHR5_. You'll be able to find me pretty easily. And then I will see you guys in the next video.